What is up, YouTube? Bobbles and Ball Cards back with another video. It has been a crazy, I don't know, what, 10 hours now? I don't know how long exactly it's been. Um, it's been crazy. I I'd recorded a video, was going to give some initial thoughts about the whole thing because have I hadn't had any communication with my rep or anybody from SGC, so I didn't know what else to discuss because I just didn't have like much information. As a lot of other people um, was actually typing the description out, and my phone rang. So this is fresh off the phone line from my rep at SGC. Um, and so I figured instead of recording another video, let me just go live. I know it's short notice, but I figured this way I could at least answer if there is questions and I have an answer. But just this would be easier than, re-recording an entire video and trying to get it uploaded. Plus, there's so many videos already done by people out there. I didn't put one up because it was like, what was I supposed to say? They got bought. But anyway, I did speak to my rep. We had about a 30-minute conversation. I did express to him, a few things that I've seen in comments and things like that. And I think they recognize those things. I think it was discussed, and we both kind of agreed that there's one thing that will make this that will solidify this as being a good move. And there's only one way that can happen, and that will be with time. So obviously, if you have been under a rock the last, 10 hours or so, SGC was acquired by Collectors, which happens to also own PSA. It's kind of rocked the hobby landscape. It's probably, I would say this is probably the biggest news we've had since Fanatics taking the licensing and stuff. And it was unexpected. It was kind of shocking that it happened. Not necessarily that SGC was acquired, but who acquired them. That was kind of shocking. And so there's been numerous posts. There's been tons and tons and tons of speculation. There's been people praising it. There's been people with their pitchforks ablaze, all different emotions, all different, reactions to it. Right now, and what I was told, the companies will act as separate entities. I was told Collectors seen the value in SGC, and this acquisition allows Collectors to instead, PSA and SGC will still be competitors, but at the end of the day, the revenue is going to stream back to the same home base, right? So instead of SGC being a competitor that's taking away revenue and market share, why not, accept the fact that you have good competition and be rewarded by that good competition, I guess, so to speak, is a way to look at it. So they are going to continue business as normal. There is nothing that has been discussed. There was nothing that was told to me that will change. I know I brought up that last night on Neo's Live, there was questions of upcharges, and I've seen posts about memberships and all of this. The answer that I was given to that is no, no, no. None of that is going to be taking place. So that is good news to everybody. It was basically just explained to me as they were acquired by Collectors, and they're still SGC, just owned by Collectors now. It's, they feel that with the opportunities that Collectors could provide with finances and technology and things like that, it could actually help SGC moving forward. They've already done a very good job at scaling and everything like that. And now they have a much larger company behind them that if, if they see things could be, if they did a little improvement that could make them even better, they now have opportunity for that. So that's a bonus side to it. Um, Not gonna lie, I brought up some of the concerns, it's no secret that a lot of SGC support and their audience, the people that submit with them, a lot of them love the company for the the customer service, the consistent grading, Pete himself. There's many reasons that they have gotten support, but one large reason is, let's not lie, a lot of SGC support is because folks dislike PSA, right? Let's just put it out there. And now that they're kind of, cousins, so to speak, because they're under the same umbrella, that's kind of like, that's going to be kind of an awkward dinner, right? All your supporters that are under the same umbrella hate, your cousins, so to speak. And, that was recognized too. But he said, as long as SGC proves that they're not changing, they're not going to let themselves sway into the direction of the other company. And again, this is why time is the only thing that can prove this. As long as they stay on track of how they've been, they'll prove to the people who have become known to love them that they're the same company. And that will restore and continue keeping the faith of what they've built and what they've grown. And, so I firmly believe that, they have done a good job. It's awkward. I don't know what the future will hold. He even said, who knows, 5 years from now what happens. And that is definitely a question mark. We don't know, you know, a year, 2, 3, 4 down the road where any of this goes. We don't know what sports cards is like. So, to say what will SGC be in 5 years, if they were coming out with that information, that would be a lie, because nobody knows what the future holds. But right now, um, this is the way that things are proceeding. And I had questions. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna pretend that there's some awkwardness, that there's some fear of what could happen. But again, you know, who knows, right? I even said, heck, maybe if Collector sees, maybe if Pete and the boys down in Boca can push a little bit more, and they have the big boss there with Collector seeing what they're actually doing, who knows? Maybe this helps boost them up, and maybe PSA becomes the one under fire. We don't know, and nobody does. But um, anyway, let me get to some chat here. I see you guys are chatting up. We got Trading Cards of Awesomeness says hi. Eric says, always taking the easy way out. This wasn't the easy way necessarily. I figured this would be the most helpful way, because then I can answer questions while I'm sitting here. If I have an answer, I may not even have an answer. But anyway, the missus in here. She says, how you feeling? Me and her both all day. Like, I don't know that I slept much last night, and I've been answering a lot of questions, having a lot of chats, a lot of discussion. Me and her have been discussing things. Like I said, I had a video that I was about to hit upload on, and then my phone rang. And I told my rep, I said, you have perfect timing, because I was about to release a video. And he's like, scrap it. So anyway, Eric says he's feeling better every day. This is all for now, because who knows the future? She's right. What is up, Ryan? Paul says, good to see you, Eric. Now I'll pay for, yes, hit that like button. Thank you, Eric, for sponsoring the like button. I appreciate you. JD, what's up? Brent says, I think it would be cool if it allowed for seamless crossovers of PSA to SGC slabs or SGC to PSA slabs. That would be cool. The only problem is obviously a big one, and that is PSA doesn't have a 9.5. So those cards would be interesting on what route they would go. So that would make it a little difficult. SGC and PSA together create the Big Daddy, and they're going to push out CGC and Becket. Yeah, I think Beckett have pushed themselves out, and to be quite honest, CGC is one that surprises me. I think if there is a company between the two that gets somewhat of an advantage, I think it would be CGC because I see a lot of people saying that they are going to use them. And again, people are speaking out of emotion, initial reaction, emotion. And there are people out there that will not want to be anywhere associated with collectors or PSA. That's just facts, and it's well aware. And I think that people would use CGC before Beckett because of pricing and the slab and some other things. So if there is a company that's going to benefit from this, I would say it would be CGC. Let's see. Eric says, "Hey Paul, let's see. Jim, I've been with CGC for years from way back in their New Jersey days. I am pissed. They sold out. They sold out when they changed their grading scale to go to a 1 to 10, and now they're selling out again." Well, in fact, in my in my video that I did, I said people are saying that they sold out, and indeed they did sell out. Dave sold the business, and I actually cannot blame him. You know, as you said, you were there from their New Jersey days. They were once owned by Certified Collectible Group, which is CGC, and they no longer wanted to deal with the sports side. And so Dave took them as a individual company, basically from nothing, and turned them into an individual entity and built them to where they are today. And I'm sure he made a pretty good profit off of that. So I can't hate him for that. You know, people flip cards. Dave flipped a whole grading business. So I can't hate him for it. It as a customer, as a consumer, yeah, we can be pissed or we can be upset or we can have fears or whatever. But if you're a businessman, you're going to do what makes sense to you. And this probably made sense to Dave's wallet. So if you want to say they sold out, I mean, they did sell. So I guess that's true. Does this guy own a business? I don't know who this guy is. So I don't know who you're talking about, but do you think them being a tad bit slower has anything to do with the acquisition? I do not think. And in fact, I asked him because I made the remark that our order it's sitting there, it's been delivered, but it hadn't been checked in, and I was concerned that it had something to do with this. He said he was going to check into it because it has nothing to do with this. They're still accepting orders. Everything's running just as if it was SGC. Um, so he was gonna like find out what was going on there. I don't exactly know what is causing the slower, but he did acknowledge it. He said we need to get the turnaround time back. So I think that is going to be something that they definitely work towards. We'll see how it happens. Obviously, this could either increase the demand, lower the demand. Who knows? It's just something we got to see. Let's see. Greg, he says, I'm out on SGC for now. Too risky with acquisitions because all somebody needs to say is brand transition and it's over. I did mention that too. It's going to be a concern. When will the light switch be turned off? And, that is going to be a fear. That's going to be something that, again, only can be, the confidence level can only be raised with time. We don't know. So, Paul says, still think SGC cards can be added to PSA's set registry this way. It could, but I don't know if the PSA set registry loyalists would appreciate that. So that would be to be determined as well. Refractor, hello. How you doing, sir? Mark, I haven't collected cards in over a year, but even I know the possible ramifications of this in the hobby. Here's hoping it's all good. Again, yeah, I mean, there could definitely be some negative takes on this. But we're just gonna have to see. Like, there's no BSing it. Like, there is possible negative things that could come from it. Hopefully, it isn't, but that possibility is 100% there. Eric, his favorite company is Hot Garbage. Let's see. Brent says, I'd like to see PSA help SGC improve their slabs. I've watched many water tests. If all the big four grading companies and SGC was the only one that took in water. Yeah, I mean, the question has always been there. Like my cards are up on a wall in a display case or like in drawers and things like that. Um, I don't know necessarily like if your house flooded, then yeah, but I don't know that many people should be having their cards near the bathtub, the kitchen sink, the swimming pool. Like, I mean, we can take a break from looking at our slabs for a little bit. So the water thing is, yes, it's a concern, but like the scenarios of where water gets in the slab, they shouldn't be that high. So let's see. I am planning on continuing to use SGC unless they actually start changing stuff. I frankly don't care who owns them unless they change them to be more like PSA. I was told that won't be the case, but again, we'll have to see where things go from here. Me and my rep have a very good relationship. He was he wasn't my original rep, but he came along probably 8 months or so after I started, and he's always been truthful with me. I mean, he's probably told me some stuff he probably shouldn't have just to get my opinion on it because he knows I am forthcoming and straightforward and I don't BS them. I tell them if I am pissed at something. And so he shares sometimes things with me. And so he told me that there's nothing that's going to be changing. And unless it happens down the line, I truly believe him. Let's see. Afternoon, gents. Lots of wrenches here. What happens if a mod tries to moderate another mod? Can the universe handle? The mods are because we do submissions and it helps my wife keep track of who is who. And so she mods people up if people have submitted or have been longtime followers and that sort of thing. I used to go live every single night on this channel. So that's where the moderator thing comes in. But moderators don't have the permissions to moderate another mod. So let's see. Hooper, I don't trust anything that was in Peter's video today. This was in the pipeline, and so they don't cause panic. They say it's steady as she goes. PSA will fold it into one by the national. I don't know by the national. I mean, that's July. I'm not saying it won't ever happen because, again, my wife works for a company that's kind of like the PSA of her industry. And they buy companies all the time. And those companies, they do turn into the company she works for. So I've seen those scenarios. This, I guess we'll just have to see. Like, I get if it's not profitable for collectors, then yeah. So I think Peter, the group down there, they just got to keep their head down and keep moving forward. Keep the faith with the supporters. Keep trying to grow and show collectors that they can be profitable for them, and just retain that trust and growth that they've been building on. That's the only thing they can do. Let's see here. Patty Cards, SGC is going down, fellas, just in the denial stage. Nobody's denying anything. I'm just stating the facts. If they did get wiped out or whatever, it wouldn't, it's not denial, it's business. So, but I'm just speaking on as of this moment. The future is an untold story. Remember back in 2020 when everybody told me SGC was the worst grading company ever and they wouldn't ever get anywhere? And here we are in February of 2024, and they are doing over 150,000 cards a month and just got purchased by collectors. We don't know the future. Back then, people thought it was the dumbest thing ever for me to use them. And, look where we are. So nobody knows the future. Let's see. I can see them in time merging PSA SGC and see them shutting SGC, which really sucks ass. Would suck ass, but we don't know. Again, I'm just going off of current day. Has anything been said about the restructuring of their pricing? No. Everything is staying the same, Ray. Nothing is restructured, nothing like that. Everything is staying business as usual. Pop report combined in one place and combined registry would be awesome. That would be a huge benefit. There are some things that could be beneficial to this. So don't look at just the negatives. There are some things that could turn out to be positive. But again, we have to see down the line. Maybe don't put your slabs out in the rain. 100% doors. If you do, if you submit with us, we put sleeves on them, and they're kind of like a raincoat. And if yeah, you get the idea. Um, take care of your slabs. Let's see. So many companies come in and say nothing will change and everyone is let go and shop is closed up a few weeks later. Bobbles and Miss Bobbles are the best though, and hope they can do subs with CGC. There's no plans of that at the moment. Again, we just have to see where things go. I'm not going to sit here and say that nothing won't happen, but I'm also not going to be doom and gloom and say things will happen. I'm just trying to take the flow as it goes and let's see. But I'm also, I'm admittedly, I told him there are some questions and concerns, but he assured me that business is going to operate as normal. So Michael Stone says, "Good evening. How are you doing?" Refractor, I would look at Becket being the bigger question here. I'm aware everyone is riled up, but businesses will be businesses. Becket is definitely a question. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing or how long they'll survive questioning what they're doing. Yeah, there was speculation last night of Becket being bought by Fanatics, but again, it's all speculation. As a liquidator in my professional life, the bigger question is what's available and what's able to be bought at low risk. And Beckett is very low risk at this point. What if collectors bought Beckett too? Like, how crazy would that be? They would just leave. CGC would be difficult to buy, but what if they bought Beckett as well and they just said, "Hey, we got them all." I have a feeling Fanatics is going to buy out CGC grading for the sports and TCG and Beckett all together. Again, I think it would be more difficult to buy out CGC. Beckett, maybe. Does anyone think SGC will exist in 2 years? That would be a good question for someone to put in like a poll or something. I think you would have a mixed reaction to it, and it wouldn't be surprising at all. I think a lot of people are saying things out of emotions right now. I'm going to take them at their word for now. Team SGC. Yes, I mean everybody speaks with emotions on initial response, and that's always fair. But again, I know I keep like repeating myself, but we won't know really anything until the future plays out. So let's see, and can be rebranded back to the Collectors Grading Company. It really originally was. He is regarding to Beckett. Let's see. Mrs. Bubbles is the PSA of wives. Ooh, look at Eric. He's trying to get back his friendship that he had with the missus. She's been a little ticked off at you there, Eric. JJ, what's up? I'm still stuck on the tax benefit of Florida versus Cali. They will grade PSA out of Boca, in my opinion. We discussed that this morning. The question remains, though, and like you said, it's where the revenue, where the revenue is earned. And I don't know that the office in Florida could support a massive giant like PSA has right now. Maybe that's part of acquiring them, though. Maybe the tax benefit, there's not getting taxed on what SGC is doing, so it's more revenue or income, and that's what they're looking at. I don't know. I like Carlos's beer reference he made last night. Yeah, that was pretty good. Let's see. If I said you were the Beckett of wives, that's funny. I don't think Collectors Group would spend all this money to acquire them just to kill off a profitable company. Profits talk. Yeah, there is a reason and scenario that it could be. And it kills many birds with one stone. There was speculation that the acquisition happened to block Fanatics from purchasing them. Obviously, if Fanatics had purchased them, then that would have been a huge competitor to PSA at that point. And you have your number two competitor then would have been purchased by a company that is very wealthy. So if that is indeed the case, then it was a very, very brilliant business decision by Collectors, because then you are blocking a huge competitor, a huge risk. You're purchasing your largest competitor, and if you can recoup some of your investment and then decide, okay, we don't need you anymore, and poof, then you basically wiped out two large competitors almost at no cost. So there is scenarios that it could have made sense, but Who knows? Eric is the Becket of the Friday Night Live panel. This was a move to block fanatics. There, see, I just said that. From buying SGC, they will keep it separate and change some of the standards, etc. But too many cards out there to just drop the SGC brand collectors profits now. I'm going to miss the SGC $9 specials. And remember, they haven't done those for a couple releases now. So that was kind of interesting too. But with the turnaround time getting longer, kind of made sense. Let's see. Obviously, but there's real scenarios in which water can get in. We're still back on the water on the slabs. Let's see. Companies all love one thing: profits. That is true. I hope this brings up the SGC graded comps, as now the excuse of PSA being the best is gone. They are all collectors. Well, there will still be little nuances there. Come on now, everyone. This leaves GMA wide open, GMA to the moon. Man, nobody speaks of them anymore. If you rewind back to 2020, GMA was a real competitor. They had a market. Just kidding, obviously, but people did talk about them a lot more. Let's see. Can't see how this acquisition will improve value of SGC graded cards. In my opinion, it will do the opposite. I think SGC will 100% be here in 2 years. I don't think they will kill a profitable company. It's 22 million annual keep money if they did the million cards a month in Florida. So same work, 22 million more in PSA's pocket. But they have to have the facility. That's the I don't know how big PSA's facility is. I just don't think SGC could pump a million through their office. I don't think it would allow for that volume. Let's see. That definitely would be a problem for collectors. If they acquire Becket, you can be sure to see higher prices, and upcharges are right around the corner. And I say this as a PSA guy. This affects. Let's see. Are the PSA fanboys actually going to accept us in the family, or will they still treat us like the socially awkward cousin? That was something I said. Like, how will this be viewed, since both companies are owned by the main company? Like, it's a weird scenario, and it's going to be fun to see how this plays out. Again, I don't know what the future holds, but it'll definitely be interesting. I do think they purchased them to block fanatics. And even PSA guys shouldn't be happy about this, and those that are naive to business money spent means more money to recover. Will anti-PSA collectors now walk away from SGC? I brought that question up, and I mentioned it earlier, Eric. A lot of their support system is people that started using them or have used them for a long time because they did not like they despise PSA. And that could take some of the market share away, but how much is to be determined. Again, if SGC can show that they're not changing in any way from the company, then the only thing people would have to hold against them is that the earnings, the revenue, the profits are going to the company that also owns PSA. That would be the only negative side to it. If people are really that against PSA, that would be very interesting situations. Anyone remember the days of CSA? The only CSA I remember is the CSA show in Chantilly. Thanks for the update. Bobbles got to run, but have a great evening. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. Spot on refractor. JJ. Let's see. He's up. Perhaps they turn SGC into PSA vintage since there's some trust with their vintage grading consistency. That was spoken of, but then it becomes this weird scenario of cards being sent everywhere and orders being split up, and I think that would cause more complications than benefits. I'll be honest, if I was solely just grading vintage cards and I had to send them to PSA because I had modern as well, and then PSA sent them back across the country to Florida for SGC to do on the vintage, I would not be happy with that. So that was spoken of last night, but again, I think that just causes more complications than benefits. Maybe if you had a mixed order and it was ultra modern and vintage, it goes to Florida and SGCs does both of I don't know how that would work. It just that would be weird. Let's see, and then JD and Refractor and the Missus talking to each other there. So yeah, I don't know, that's kinda where things are. I wanted to just let folks know, um, let's be patient. There's been a lot of reaction. There's been a lot of speculation. There's a lot of this might happen or what ifs or, people having their crystal ball out trying to predict the future. And the only thing we can do right now is take the scenario for what it is. It's an interesting scenario. Trust that SGC, they've told us for the last several years that they were going to do things. They've provided us good customer support. They've provided us, consistent grading and everything else. Let's let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they are confident in this acquisition, in this individual partnership, or however you want to look at it, and that things are going to be okay, and that they're going to move forward as they have been doing all along, and that this is going to be a benefit to us and not a hindrance. And just see, we're going to know fairly quickly. Like, you're going to know if things start changing, you're going to see it. And I think that SGC recognizes they're going to be under a microscope. And if things start changing, they're going to have a lot of questions to answer and they're going to lose trust. And I think they understand they got to keep that trust. They got to keep that momentum. And, I think they can do that. So, let's see. I don't see the PSA vintage angle ever happening other than a few strip card sets in the 20s. PSA has higher pop counts for everything in vintage. I was trying to look at gem rate earlier, and I think if I remember right, it was like 70.8% of the month of January was sports cards that were 2000s and newer. So, it's like 29% or so, 29.4% or something like that was pre 2000. So, a large chunk of what SGC is doing now is ultra modern. People may not believe that, but, look like 70%. Did I get a severance package? No, sir. Do they do Pokemon at $9 a card? You think that if they keep at that rate, they can put out the marketing to squash CGC? Doors, I'm going to say no because CGC actually just opened an office over in like Japan or somewhere in Asia, and that's going to give them even more market share. I mean, those folks are crazy about Pokemon and TCG. I think that was a smart move for CGC to do that. And I think I don't think that would like take a huge chunk. Maybe the American market, but overall market, no. Mrs. said, no one is talking to me. Got called the PSA of wives and the Becket of wives in one live, so I'm lost. I meant a submission that goes only to SGC offices and is under the new PSA Vintage branch. All other subs go through PSA OG and goes California or New Jersey. I mean, the logistics of it would be wild. Again, we would just have to see how that would play out. I'm taking the optimistic view that each company can learn from the other's strengths, not too concerned about it. It's the best way to be right now, Brent, until we see otherwise or be proven otherwise. And that's about the only thing you can do. Mrs. I wasn't privy to that, so I hid from those accusations. Let's see. I'm with you, Bob. I'm looking forward to possible positive changes like better plastic, maybe label redesign, registry, etc. Yes, there are things, whether it happens or not, think about it this way too. That's another thing. If we see them start updating things, that's a positive sign. And that means that they're buying into keeping it, two separate brands. So if we start getting some things that have been asked for, like, a hologram on a label or something like that, that would be something to invoke a little bit of confidence as, okay, they're investing in further, further length of running as a separate company. So that's something to keep an eye on, is simple little things like that. But it could could show signs of strength and moving forward. So Professor Oak, what is up? He liked the Pokemon statement. Um, will SGC eventually be using UV graded holders? I don't think most of the companies use UV, from what I understand. Um, if there are some, I don't want to sit and say I know which ones are and aren't. I think there might be a couple, but I think majority of them don't use UV graded plastic. Let's see here. I agree with you. Logistics would be crazy. Hoping this leaves CGC to gain in sports submissions, since I feel they have the best slab and the labels have the most info. Need more value in the grade. Yeah, they're definitely a company that has confused me, because they have provided so many things that people in the hobby have asked for. You know, they have the set registry, they got the nice slab, they got a nice label. They had reputable people come in right from the beginning. They are the top comment grading company. You know, they got video games, movies, they have coins, all this other stuff. They're a huge company. And yet, I think those initial hiccups with changing the label from the green to the gold and black, and then changing it from that to then the CGC, I think it's been too many changes. Changing the grading scale, I think there's just been too many changes, and it kept knocking them down the pedestal, and people started losing confidence because you were paying for relabels over and over and over. So I think that could be part of their problem. Let's see. Ryan said, just got home from work. I know you all have a lot going on with graduation. Yeah, my daughter is graduating very soon. Twice, actually. She will have a college graduation and a high school graduation. So yeah, crazy times on the horizon. But anyway, guys, it is almost 6 o'clock. I know it was probably weird time of day. Folks were leaving work and all of the other things, but I wanted to get on it, let everybody know I finally had gotten a word with my rep. Um, I think we just, there's going to be concerns, there's going to be questions, obviously, but I think we just let's just give them the benefit right now and just see where it takes us. They've been a hell of a company. Um, you know, again, people thought I was crazy as hell in 2020 when I was using them, and then weird times happened, and we stuck to it, and I just ignored the trolls and just kept doing my thing. And others that have been around since the beginning, like JJ, Ryan's been around for a long time. They're Refractor, he's been a part of the channel and the group and everything else. And um, we've rode the waves, right? And it's kind of it's been fun to be a part of, really, to see the growth, to kind of say, hey, look, things have went up. Now they're not at the top. They're not at the top. I'm not saying that, but they've definitely grew a lot more than I think anyone ever would have expected, especially when you look back 4 years ago. So no sense in giving up on them yet. Let's see where it takes us. But anyway, guys, if you have other questions, if you catch this later or whatever on the replay, if you're in the group or you follow on Instagram and you got a question or whatever, feel free to reach out, and I will answer if I have an answer, or I will try to get an answer if I don't have an answer. I know my rep's going to be crazy busy for a bit, but I'll see what I can do. But I appreciate everybody that hopped on. I appreciate all of you. I don't do much content on here anymore, so it's kind of crazy that people even see the notifications or whatever and hop in. So, but I do appreciate all of you, and enjoy your evening, enjoy your leap day. What a crazy day it's been. And as always, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and until the next video, I'm out.